Welcome to the Unaffiliated Creatives Podcast, a show where independent artists can learn from other independent artists. My name is KAeveryday, and each week I will be speaking with some of the most creative minds in the indie music space, trying to figure out what they have learned while navigating through the music industry without the support of major record labels. This podcast is brought to you by the good people over at King Neppy Studios and powered by Red Weasel Media. Thanks for tuning in to the Unaffiliated Creators Podcast. I'm your host, KAeveryday. This is the Indie Artist Safe Place, so take off your shoes, get comfortable, and stay a while. Do us a favor and please rate the show. And if you have any feedback for us, please email us at unaffiliatedcreatives@gmail.com. The snippet you heard playing was a song titled Coming to America. Now that everybody has gotten comfortable taking off their shoes, J Mac, what you been up to?
Nothing much, man. Just been busy working, grinding, trying to make some money. And, I've been writing a lot of music. So that's what's up. You know what I mean?
All right. So you've been grinding, cranking out these songs, huh? I hear you. So let me start off by asking you this. So I hope this don't come off as being too personal, but so what's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
First thing I do when I wake up in the morning, I usually get up, get ready, eat hygiene and stuff like that, and then drink a Red Bull and smoke a cigarette, write, maybe go to work if I'm working. You know what I mean? Just stuff like that.
Okay, so a lot of people get up in the morning and drink coffee, but instead of drinking coffee, you get up in the morning and you drink a Red Bull.
Oh, yeah. Coffee, for me, it messes my stomach up for some reason. I don't know why.
Okay. Hey, man, I'm going to be honest with you. It messed my stomach up, too, but I still drink it. So maybe that makes me crazy, right?
Maybe.
So let me ask you the opposite question. So what keeps you up at night?
A lot of anxiety and a lot of racing thoughts, Just thoughts about, like, my future, if things like that.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you being honest with us this morning. So, have you always wanted to be a rapper, and why?
Well, I guess you could say, like, when I was a kid, when I was growing up in New York, my dad used to put me on to a lot of classic rock from, like, the 70s and 80s. My mom listened to, like, Michael Jackson and stuff like that around the apartment. And, I don't know. I've just always been interested in music, Like, when I was probably 8 years old, I made my dad's mom, my grandma. She didn't really know any better, but I had her buy me the Eminem show at Sam Goody. I don't even know if half the people on here remember Sam Goody. But, and she bought it, and my dad was so mad because of the lyrical content behind it. Nowadays, he doesn't care about all that. But, like, back then, it was, like, a big deal, you know what I mean? And so, like, Eminem, Jim Morrison from The Doors was, like, a big influence on me lyrically. He writes about the weirdest stuff, and, like, I've always liked that, you know what I mean? And then when I was 12, I started, freestyling a little bit with friends in New York, and then eventually I started writing more serious,
Okay. So I couldn't let you leave without asking you this question, man. You probably gonna think I'm crazy for asking you this, but I just gotta ask you, man. So has there ever been people not taking music serious because you're a white rapper in an industry that's made up of about 98% Black rappers?
Not to my face, there hasn't been. Nobody's ever said anything like that to me.
Okay. So what artists do people say you sound like?
I get a mix of, like, sometimes Mac Miller, you know what I mean? When I was younger, I kind of, like, dressed like him a lot because I liked Mac Miller growing up when I was in high school. He was, like, the best in my eyes at the time, you know what I mean? He was so different. Him and Wiz Khalifa were great. They were coming with this new sound, and it was just great. And but people said I looked like Mac Miller back then and stuff like that. Even today, like, if you ever seen the show Euphoria, if I have a hat on, but if my hair was a little shorter, I would look like Fezco from Euphoria. I've gotten that before too. Who looks like Mac Miller a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could kind of see where people say that. So I hope this one don't come off as a trick question. It might actually take you a little while to give me the answer to this one. So what are your top 5 white rappers, dead or alive, and you can give them to me in any order?
Okay. Give me a sec. Let me think. Top 5 white artists. You mean rappers or artists?
Rappers.
Honestly, I can't even think of 5 off the top of my head. I got Eminem, Mac Miller. Vanilla Ice was all right with Ice Ice Baby. That's about it. It doesn't really count in my eyes because it's that one hit single. I can only think of Eminem and Mac Miller right now.
So that's the reason why I wanted to ask this question, because the fact that there aren't that many of them, it actually makes it hard. Like when I first thought about it, it was hard for me to come up with 5. I actually had to go do a little bit of research, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about so and so and so and so. So I'm just gonna give you my 5, and I know you probably gonna think some of these answers are probably crazy. So I put Eminem, Lil Dicky, MC Search, Jack Harlow, and Vanilla Ice. Now, you just mentioned something about Vanilla Ice because he only really just had the one song that everybody remember, Ice Ice Baby. But I put him in there because he was one of the first ones to do it. So he was kind of like the trendsetter, the pioneer that kind of kicked it off. And I kind of think the same thing. I don't know if you remember MC Search. He was in, had the song, Pop Pop Goes the Weasel. So he was kind of one of the first ones to do it too. So I felt that they had to be put on the list. Of course, Eminem, he can probably be in anybody's top 5. It don't matter what color they are. And I think Lil Dicky, he be spitting bars, so I had to put him up there. Jack Harlow, he fairly new, but he decent, so I just put him up there.
MC Search, he also did that song that put Nas in the spot, right?
Yep.
Back to Barbecue or something, or Back to the Grill. That put Nas. Oh, that's funny. I forgot about MC Search.
Yeah.
Boys, you got to think about like Mike D and Ad Rock and them, you know what I mean? Beastie Boys before them even.
Yeah, I thought about putting the Beastie Boys up there, but to be honest, I didn't really grow up listening to them, and their group, like they would have been solo maybe, but the fact that they was a group, I just figured I just left them off. But yeah, they could easily be, putting in the top 5.
I remember my dad used to listen to the Beastie Boys a lot when I was a kid. I forgot about that. Just want to put that out there.
Now I'm going to make it a little easy for you now. So now that we done got that one out the way, so now just give me your top 5 rappers, no matter what color they are, dead or alive, and you can put them in any order.
Okay. I would say, it's a good one. I love Don Q. Meek Mill. It's a hard question because there's so many going through my head right now. Definitely Don Q, Meek Mill, A Boogie, Nas, and Biggie. There's my 5.
Okay. So that's a pretty good list. My list's a little different, but so I normally put Jay-Z, Biggie, Nas, Tupac, and for the 5th spot, I always kind of switch it around. Sometimes I say Lil Wayne, depending on what mood I'm in. Sometimes I put Eminem in there. Sometimes I put Jadakiss, and sometimes I put Andre 3000. But the first 4 definitely Jay-Z, Biggie, Nas, and Tupac, and then the 5th spot. For you, because you said Eminem earlier, I'm gonna put Eminem in my 5th spot this week.
Sweet. Yeah, that 90s era was so fantastic to me. Like how they were all come out in these times. I should have put Q-Tip from a Tribe Called Quest, because a Tribe Called Quest is so good in my opinion. I have 2 younger brothers. They're 18 and 19 years old, and they had never listened to them before me. And I showed them a Tribe Called Quest, and they love them now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I like putting my little brothers onto that 90s scene because they went around for it. And I wasn't even really around for it either because I was born in 94. But I still respect it so much, you know?
Well, I was around for it. And I'm going to be honest. So the reason why I like that era of rap, and I was trying to explain this to my kids, is back then, everybody had to have a unique sound. Like you wouldn't have made it in the industry back then if you were trying to sound like somebody else. Nowadays, it seems like, a sound will come out and then everybody just copies that sound and then it just sounds like everybody's sounding the same. So
it's true, you know?
All right. So now that I asked you for your top 5, I have to narrow it down a little bit. So tell me, who do you think is the greatest of all times, dead or alive?
Honestly, like, people say Tupac and Biggie, and they're great. Don't get me wrong. I love them to that. They're amazing. But I gotta say Nas. I like Nas a lot. Like, Illmatic, it was written, like, probably my two favorite albums of all time. And then, even later on when he came out, when he came out with I Can, I remember the first time I heard the song I Can, and I was in gym class. It was probably like the second grade or something. And my gym teacher put it on because I think he was teaching us about health and stuff. And that song has a little bit to do with like addiction and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So he put it on. I was like, this is the jam, you know? So like, I don't know. I like Nas a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, he lyrical and he has some songs that I still can't remember if anybody's ever done anything like it. Like, I don't know if you remember the song he had where he rapping backwards.
Yeah, I do. Rewind, yeah.
Yep. And then the other song he had where he comparing himself to a gun.
Yep. I Gave You Power. That was a great
song. Them two songs right there. If he never did anything else, he showed how lyrical he was and just how creative he was in those two songs. So that's why I kind of put him up there. Right. My answer is probably a little different, but it's kind of similar. So I guess I would probably say Jay-Z. Mm-hmm. I guess I say Jay-Z because his overall volume of work, like he's like done so many albums and he was pretty consistent throughout his albums. He never really made a lot of, like, I can't even remember a song that he did that I would really consider whack. Like everything he put out was pretty good. And he's still putting out music now. And I think it's still better than a lot of the stuff that these young rappers putting out. So I would probably have to give it to Jay-Z.
I like Jay-Z, that album. It's like in the middle of his career, the Black Album. When I was younger, like I bought that CD and I was like, this CD's awesome. Like just the whole thing straight through is great.
Did you ever, I know you're younger, but have you ever heard his first album, Reasonable Doubt?
Oh, yeah.
Reasonable Doubt was a classic.
Yeah. My favorite album is The Evils.
Yeah.
Great song.
Yeah, let me ask you this. So how do you feel about rappers trying to sing or singers trying to rap?
I don't know. I don't really have any input on that. You know what I mean? Like, if you could sing and rap, do it. That's just my opinion on it. You know what I mean? Like, A Boogie could do it. Some other people before him could do it, I feel like. You know, like Eminem, he sang a little bit too, and he sounded fine to me. You know?
Well, I was kind of setting you up with that question. So you got a song titled Peak. And when I listen to the song, I can hear, and this is just what it sounded like to me. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounded like you was trying to sing a little bit. So can you tell the audience why you decided to sing on that song instead of rapping, and why you chose not to use auto-tune on your voice?
Okay. For me, I'm going to speak on the auto-tune thing first. I'm not against auto-tune, but like I felt like I wanted that song in particular to be raw, like where like you could actually hear me, like my real voice. And the song came about like this. So like I was in a relationship with this girl, and we had like a little falling out there, and she was actively, doing drugs and stuff, and I wasn't. And so I did that song out of like heart, like from the heart. I did that song because in the second verse of that song, I said something like I don't want to see you dead, basically, is what I said. Because I didn't. No one wants to see their loved ones dead, you know what I mean? But then it was weird because like a couple of months after I recorded and put that song out, she had died. And it broke my heart, you know what I mean? Like, I love that girl to death. Her name was Carly. She was like a good girl, We had our issues. We had a lot of issues, in our relationship and stuff like that. But, it just basically came about like that. And, yeah.
Wow. So she died from drugs?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay.
I really,
Wow. Well, I appreciate you sharing something so personal, man. But yeah, I could hear it in the song. I kind of figured that's why you went that route, but I wanted to ask you. I didn't want to assume why, you made the song the way it was. So that's why I wanted to ask you.
Right. Yeah, I get it.
So you don't have a problem with auto-tune. You just wanted people to really hear your true self coming out and really hear your emotions and stuff coming through the song.
Exactly, yeah. And I've used auto-tune before. It's just that particular song, I didn't want it to have auto-tune for that reason, yeah.
So from some information that you shared with me, I just wanted you to give you this platform, this opportunity to kind of, talk about it as much as you feel comfortable with talking about it. But from over the years, you shared with me that you struggled with drugs and stuff like that. Can you please tell us about your road to recovery and how you feel that music may have helped you through that process?
Sure. We think it's a very long road, but I guess like when I was 19, I went to Florida for the first time for treatment, but I was drinking a lot at the time, and I came back home and started messing around with opiate, like heroin. Before that, I was doing opiates a little bit, but not heroin. But when I came home from Florida, all the Percocets and stuff were really expensive, and I had money for it at the time for the habit. So I started doing heroin, which became fentanyl. And I'd be out in Kensington, like getting high, and I was like one of those people, and it sucks to say, because it's so sad. Like, I've been in Kensington sober before, and like there's a meeting there called The Last Stop. And I spoke there and told my story and stuff like that a couple years ago. And it was very weird because like I was sober there. That's where I ran getting high at. And but it felt really good, to give back to that community, because that community needed it. At the time, it was horrible. There's people all over the street getting high, like that was like me. And it reminded me of me and why I don't want to be like that anymore. And yeah, I don't know. It was a lot of scandalous shit going on. Let's just put it that way. You know what I mean? Court case, stuff like that, but that's all done with.
All right. Well, I'm glad you was able to get through it, man. And now you found other vehicles to channel some of your time and to keep you occupied and keep you busy, man. And hey, man, I'm glad that you was able to recover and get through that. So where do you see your music career in the future?
I mean, if I ever get anywhere with it, I would like to bring my team with me, like how usually it goes. Like my friends in Touch Money and Low Gang, I would like to bring them with me. I've been working on a few things I can't really speculate on, but if I do ever get anywhere with it, I would like to bring my friends with me, because loyalty is a big thing to me. I'm very loyal to my friends, just how I am. When I was 14, or maybe 15, I was locked up. And a shrink told me I had Asperger's syndrome. And I was like, what's wrong with my ass? And she was like, no, it's not, you're in the autism spectrum. I said, no way. So like from having that makes me even extra loyal to their friends. Like I have friends that sometimes have done me dirty, and I don't I don't use it against them. You know what I mean? It's just how I am. You know, I'm just a nice guy at the end of the day, I guess. I don't know.
It ain't nothing wrong with being loyal, man. I wish there was more people out there in the world like that. So, hey, there definitely ain't nothing wrong with that. So would you rather stay independent or would you get signed by a major record label at some point?
I would like to stay independent, yeah. You know, maybe have like, I don't know. I haven't really thought about that, but like, I would like to stay independent. Maybe like have like start my own thing and like have like a joint venture going on with like a label. You know what I mean? Kind of like how A-Boogie did with Hybrids.
Yeah. I mean, of course, it has its pros and cons. I mean, you know, when you sign to a major record label, I mean, it probably makes your life a little easier because, you know, they have a lot of people to do a lot of things for you. But if you stay the independent route, you know, you're left having to do a lot of the heavy lifting yourself, but you're in more control of the situation. It gives you more flexibility, more freedom, man. You get to keep more money in your pocket. So, you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's true.
All right. So what's the craziest thing you would be willing to do to go viral on social media?
Honestly, like, I'm not into any of that. As far as like videos and stuff like that go, I'm just not. I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe like probably start an OnlyFans with some girl or something. I don't know. Something like that.
Okay. Well, the reason why I asked because it seems like there's been a shift in the music industry over the past couple of years where now it almost kind of feels like it's not even about talent. It's about who can make the craziest video or if you can just find a way to go viral. So, you know, you get a lot of people looking at what you're doing and, you know, that's kind of how a lot of these artists are getting discovered. So that's why I just asked the question because it just seems like that's kind of the way the industry's going now.
Yeah, no, it definitely has that feel to it. That's definitely a very true thing.
So the premise of this show is independent artists learning from other independent artists. So I couldn't let you get out of here without asking you this question. So what mistakes, if any, have you made so far in your music career that other people could learn from?
That's a good question. Don't let people take advantage of you. Ever. Don't ever let people take advantage of your opportunities. You know what I mean?
Well, it sounds like this is coming from a personal place. So if you kind of want to explain exactly what you're talking about, you can. Or if you just want to keep it there because you don't want to get really into it, I'm fine with that too.
I just meant by it, like, I've seen how like some people move and some people get like advantage. Like some people will become like a rapper, right? And they'll have money, and then the people around them will just use them for their money, and then hang them out to dry when they have nothing. That's all I meant.
Oh, okay. Kind of the story that you see happen time and time again on a lot of these shows and movies and stuff that you see. I get it.
Yeah.
So tell me something that I should have asked you, but I didn't ask you for whatever reason.
Like about me?
Well, I'm just saying, like, this is kind of like the opportunity to maybe tell us something or talk about something that we didn't talk about because I just didn't ask you the question.
Okay. I gotta say, like, my father, he's always been there for me. You know, I don't even know if this is going to be like if this is even a question. I just want to put him out there. Like, he's my best friend in the world. He's always been there for me, and I've let him down so much, and I feel bad about it. You know what I mean? But like, we're starting to build a really good relationship together. You know, like there was a lot of just mistrust, a lot of shit going on when I was in addiction that I'm sorry about, and I hope he hears this. So, like, you know what I mean? He knows. You know, and I'm putting into action to show him that I'm sorry, I think, you know, and he's starting to realize that, which is great. And I wish him the best of luck on his new shows that he's got going on and stuff like that. I'm very, very happy for him. He's come very far in life.
Well, I'm glad you took the time to do that. It's always good to give people their flowers while they're still alive. You know, they can't smell them when they're dead. So, you know, it took a lot for you to do that, man. But I appreciate it.
And I want to shout out Touch Money Bees for putting me on to you too. You know what I mean?
Oh man, Touch Money Bees, man. That dude crazy, man. But hey, man, I see y'all doing some big things, man. So I hope y'all keep it going.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
All right, before you get out of here, man, just tell the audience where they can find you. Like, take the time to drop all your social media tags and everything so people can go, search you and go find your music and all that stuff.
All right. You can find me on Instagram at LoadGangMac, MAC. And I'm on Facebook, John J. Mac McCormick. I'm on Apple, and my music's on Apple and Spotify. Just look up J-Mac, J-MAC. And if you have problems with that, then hit me up, and I'll even send you some of the music. It's fine.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show today, man. And I'm definitely going to be, seeing what you got going on here in the near future.
All right, man. I appreciate you a lot, K.
All right, man. You take it easy.
All right, you too, man.
All right, now.